Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Econ Americas podcast, where each month we share under the radar investment opportunities from countries across the Americas, from Canada down to Chile. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and find us on all the major podcast platforms. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Anchor, you name it. Econ Americas is a startup research firm that provides financial and economic intelligence. You can learn more about us and our services at econamericas.com. And of course, we're all on the major social media platforms as well. I am Daniel Duarte, editor at Econ Americas, and I'll be your host today. I'm based in Asunción, Paraguay, the heart of South America. And today I'm joined by Jorge Castro. He is near Medellin, which is to the northwest of Colombia, if I'm correct. And Econ Americas has known Jorge for a long time. He's a friend of the house and he has many trades, but just let me cite a few. He's a civil engineer and he has his construction firm and he runs Unión Editorial Colombia, which is a publishing house of books on economics and finance with a focus on the Austrian School of Economics. He is also a consultant for family wealth planning and family businesses. He is a public speaker, a columnist, and an instructor at several academic institutions. So, folks, he's well qualified to give us an overview of Colombia's potential. Jorge, we are very pleased to have you on the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks to you, the family of Econ Americas, and especially to you, Daniel. A great pleasure to speak today with you to talk for many things in La Ceja, Antioquia, near to Medellin, from La Ceja, Antioquia, near to Medellin.
Great. And when foreigners think of Colombia, and you probably know this, Colombia is a success story in Latin America, and we may know about this, but foreigners usually have a view that is a bit stuck in the 1990s, which was a period of violence and social conflict in Colombia. So to kickstart our conversation, can you tell us a bit about how the country has moved forward and what are some new trends that have emerged since?
Well, the most important is the relevance of cultural power, especially music in Colombian broad perception. So we have 3 or 4 figures, world-known figures like Shakira, if you want, J Balvin. But if you think a key moment of our cultural new brand, international new brand for new generation especially, a new perception is Maluma singing Medellin with Madonna. This is a key moment. How many Latin American singers could sing with Madonna? Not many. So this is an important moment for changing our brand perception. That brings us some kind of cultural coolness, and that is bringing more international tourism, some nomads, digital nomads and expats and retirees. So we have these kind of things now happen in Colombia, especially in this region, Medellin, and the new region of Medellin, but also with the peace process and of course the peace of kind of better situation in conflict. We are rediscovering regions. And this perspective in mining, agriculture. So we are growing in these regions and we have many infrastructure projects. So it's interesting to see this kind of new sector in new regions. It's all sectors, but new region for these all sectors. So it's interesting. We are the turtle in a rabbit race. We are consistent, and we think that will be priced in the future.
That is interesting that you mentioned about decentralization, right? Because many of Latin American countries have this problem that everything is concentrated in the capital city, and really the other regions in the country need more focus and more development. So you are based in the northwest of Colombia, right? And what kind of industries and activities can you see in that region?
Well, Antioquia is like a special. It's like a country by itself. You have, of course, mining, gold. You have most the most interesting mining projects in Antioquia or near to Antioquia. So, and a tradition in mining engineers. So you have also skills. You have in Medellin the center of the fourth revolution for South America. So the International Center for Fourth Industrial Revolution is here in Medellin. You have also some kind of vehicles. Motorcycles are building from Medellin to other countries in the region, and we are making technology in motorcycles and brands. We are exporting to Peru, to other countries, so it's interesting too. But of course, we are a financial sector that is really important in Medellin, and also we are growing. Our flower industry near to Medellin is really interesting. Avocado industry is growing too. We have the most important part of our sports in avocado. So there are many things happening here in Antioquia. But the part that I am now is a region like you say Luxembourg in Antioquia. Luxembourg is a country, a little country, but with a lot of growing and interesting purchasing power. So that is the part that I am here in near to Medellin, near to the international airport, and it's really interesting to see how this can happen, how this can grow for the future.
Right, and as you mentioned, the financial sector. What can you tell us about Colombia's capital markets? We know that Colombia, for instance, is integrated with Chile, Mexico, and Peru in the Latin American stock exchange. Sorry. But what is the percentage of Colombians that actually invest in the stock market, or where do they put their money? Regular Colombians and middle-class Colombians?
Well, there are many things in your interesting question because directly Colombian are not invested in stock exchange, but indirectly through pension funds, private pension funds, we are invested and we don't know that. So that is part of it's part of our undeveloped stock market exchange. Right. But you have a really interesting financial and efficient people. They built this integration with Mexico, Chile, and Peru. This MILA is something like we had in the past in Colombia, Valle Stock Exchange, Antioquia Stock Exchange, and Bogota Stock Exchange, and we integrated. And our history with integration of stock markets are great. So we lead that process in Latin America with Mexico, with Chile and Peru, but it's only for sophisticated trades and it's not for the common people. But
for institutional investors,
institutional, right? Special fund, pension funds from Chile, from Mexico, from Colombia to Peru, to Chile, to Mexico, and Colombia too. So it's not for the common people, but it could be interesting. Our more important stock exchange for Colombia and Mexico and Chile and Peru too is Toronto Exchange, because we are a commodities countries, mining countries and oil countries. So MILA is good, but the great stock exchange for our countries is Toronto Exchange.
Right. So investors interested in gaining exposure to Colombia can look at companies listed on the Toronto Venture Exchange, for instance, and see those companies that have mining operations of some kind of activities in Colombia. That is one option they can consider, right?
Yes, they can have in many sectors, mining, marijuana, for example, but you can profit from, if you are not in Colombia, if you are in other countries, try to have Colombia growth in Toronto Exchange.
Right. And what are some other of the opportunities that, for instance, an investor from Europe or the United States can find in Colombia, or Colombia-linked companies that they cannot find elsewhere, or the returns?
Well, I found an interesting thesis for with George Gammon. He's a rebel capitalist. You can see his YouTube channel is really interesting, and he's betting against dollar with real estate in Medellin. This is interesting and sophisticated but simple thesis, because if we are an oil country like Colombia is, we have a lot of income from oil. We are against the dollar. When the dollar is weak, oil gain some kind of price, and Colombian pesos is stronger. So asset denominated in pesos could be a better positioned to dollar. And real assets you can leverage. If you have a beautiful spot like Medellin, you can buy real estate in Medellin to put some kind of speculation process against dollar. Weak dollar is a great for real estate in Medellin. So this is for me, it's interesting. You don't have Medellin in many places of the world. So if you want some kind of cultural, interesting place to rent for digital nomad, expatriates, retirees, Medellin could be a place to rent, and real assets and real estate could be interesting.
So are we talking about residential real estate or commercial leases, for instance? And what are, for instance, some examples that you can give us about specific, for instance, we are talking about the apartments or commercial stores?
I think it's for the sophistication of the person, of the investor. But you can have a department for Airbnb rents, for example, easy in some neighborhoods of Medellin, like El Poblado, Laureles, Envigado. They are easy, but also in the region I am, it's not Medellin, it's near to the airport. It's a circle of towns, little towns that are growing, suburbans of Medellin place. So you can buy projects, develop projects, and you can bet for the rising price of this region. Many people from Medellin are moving near to the airport, and this is another special bet. And you have, in my background, I have Guatapé. Is
a lovely region.
Interesting lake, artificial lake near to the airport, international airport, and is really interesting for projects linked with tourism. So you have many things, many kinds of assets, and a region that is developing, and a region that every part in the world wants to know. Even the narco story is good for real estate here. So it's true. We have culture now, but it's part of the culture.
The Latin American Integrated Market, a misnomer. In 2009, Chile, Colombia, and Peru decided to create a common stock exchange called the Latin American Integrated Market, MILA, which began operating 2 years later. Mexico joined them in 2014, turning MILA into the largest Latin American stock exchange by market capitalization at the time, surpassing Brazil's B3 stock exchange. MILA facilitates the issuance, trade, and settlement of securities across the 4 member countries. However, it is not a full integration of capital markets. Every country retains its own currency, tax regimes, commissions, and investment rules. There is an ongoing process towards harmonization through the Pacific Alliance, a free trade bloc started by the same countries in 2011. The Pacific Alliance strives to become the pro-market version of Mercosur, but there is still a long way to go that requires coordinated legislative action. MILA participants can trade stocks, ETFs, fund shares, and other non-fixed income securities from over 600 issuers. All trades are denominated in the local currency where the security was issued. For instance, a Mexican stock trades in Mexican pesos on Mila. However, investors can gain exposure to assets from Mila countries without having to buy each foreign currency through mutual funds, available in Chile, Peru, or Mexico. The main benefit for Mila participants is more diversification opportunities. Firms get to raise capital in all Mila countries, whereas investors can pick from a larger pool of companies in many sectors and countries, lowering political and economic risks. To trade Mila securities, investors must become a client of an authorized broker in any of the member countries: Mexico, Chile, Peru, or Colombia. The applicable regulations, taxes, and procedures are those of the nation where the investor has decided to open a brokerage account. Be aware that some brokers may decide to operate only in one or two other countries. Since its inception, 30,018 trades have been conducted through Mila, totaling a volume of $630.2 million. Chile's brokers have traded 65.6% of that value, followed by Colombia's, Peru's, and Mexico's. The number of registered issuers as of January 2021 is 617, and the total market capitalization is $756.4 billion. To learn more about Mila, make sure to check out our show notes, where we have included a link to a backgrounder by Econ Americas.
Yeah, and how easy is it for foreign investors to own land in Colombia? Is there a special permit they need? They have to, for instance, some countries require that you be a resident. And what is the process in Colombia?
You can have it's not that easy like other countries, but it's not so hard. You can buy, especially if you begin with apartment. So because the project, if you are in the developed project, you need to have some skills of taste of the region, but it's not so difficult. Of course, you have things to do, but you have people here, brokers, people in the banks helping to make that possible.
Right. So there are people specialized in this business. It is not like something new. So there is a tradition and a know-how that people on the ground are used to do.
Yes, and people in Medellin are really familiarized with the United States real estate practices. So especially Miami practices. So you can find people who are living or are working or work in the past in Miami in real estate and wants to have something easy for the foreigner. So it's a great place to make a move.
I see.
In real estate.
Right. So moving on a bit to the financial sector, again, we know we have read some reports and we have reported that Colombia is one of the countries leading fintech innovation in Latin America. So what can you tell us about this industry and maybe some service or product that really stands out and has changed an aspect of Colombia's financial industry?
Well, we have a financial sector that is really conservative. Also, is real close. It's not easy to compete here because that brings also stability. So
yes.
it was a part of the pie. But now we are opening. We are working in open banking now. There are new regulations in open banking. We are bringing new actors. And I don't know if you're aware, Nubank is a bank from Brazil, but was founded by a Colombian from Medellin. But he went to Brazil, found the bank, digital bank, most important Latin American digital bank, and now it's entering in Colombia. So we will have more competition in the sector, in banking especially. We have Movi. Movi is a digital card, like digital banks, another form from non-banking, traditional banking sector. So we will have more competitions. We have technicians. Of course, we have a financial sector that is really conservative, and we are exposing to other countries, making things interesting and want to integrate, like Chile, like Mexico. I hope with some kind of openness to dollar accounts, we can make another scale. If Colombia brings dollar accounts in the banking system, in the fintech system, and with the market size that we have, that could be a real change of the game.
Just to clarify, you cannot have US denominated bank accounts in Colombia. Is that going to change?
Not now, but okay. It's a expected move. And when you have that, because other countries too have to, when you have that, you should change the pool of the financial pool of other countries to make things in Colombia, and the assets will be more denominated in dollars. Easy for mom and dad in United States and other countries to bring money here, to bring capital here. Crowdfunding platforms are globally now, or financials are globally now. The only thing is the denominated assets in dollars could be interesting. So this will our next step, and when we arrive, that is could explode our fintech space.
Yes, just to people who may not be aware, many Latin American countries have this issue with the US dollar, and some countries allow US denominated bank accounts, as some don't. For instance, Brazil is another country that still is not, it only has for institutional investors, so retail investors can have bank accounts in US dollars. And also Argentina has a trouble relation with the US dollar. So it's across the board. Here in Paraguay, we can have dollar accounts normally. So it's no deal. But in some countries, we have this issue. And you mentioned cannabis. We also know that Colombia is a major exporter of medical cannabis, right? It has been exported since 2016 when the government legalized medical marijuana. And it has been exported to Europe and the United States. So what is the future for this sector? Where is it concentrated, in which parts of the country, and what is the final product that is finally exported?
I am very bullish in marijuana in Colombia, but the people here in the sector are, of course, not so bullish. Because they have the rush in their blood. They want a better returns in a short-term perspective. But I think we have a tradition of we are a country with flowers. We have a very important flower industry. We are the second most important flower producers in the world. So we know how to grow a flower, to make happy a flower, and to make profitable a flower. So a flower industry. So this is my most important thing, because we have the strength of the flower industry. But of course, we have some kind of traditions, some kind of brand with marijuana for many years. That is the good side of our bad history. So we'll see more in the future. Consolidation, because at the beginning was a new story, but in many countries happen like that. In California too, in Canada too, because the beginning is the flower and the growth of the flower, but after that was the financial sector around cannabis, the processing, the oil in cannabis. So it will be interesting how that consolidates in the future. But it's growing. We have the knowledge to make that, and we have the brand, and we are near to real interesting markets are near to us. So we will make great things there. And especially after that, recreational marijuana. Because, sorry for that, but when marijuana markets consolidate in global perspective, people who are now making medical decisions, for example, if you have a treatment with medical cannabis, you will visit other countries that you have the same brand or some kind of the same brand to continue your treatment. So if the people in Canada or in the United States wants to maintain their treatment, they will search for other countries with medical marijuana too. So Colombia could be interesting not for the export, but the tourism big link with the people who is in the marijuana treatments.
And what is the status of recreational marijuana in Colombia? Is it legal? Is it in legal disputes? What is the situation?
We are debating now recreational. The problem is the problem with this particular portion of the market is we are governed by a coalition of center-right coalition that a conservative side is more against marijuana, recreational marijuana. But naturally, of course, this is, and the medical marijuana side was more with the Santos project, government project. So there are many friends of Santos who were invested in marijuana. So this is not friends of this our current coalition. So we will have fights in the future, but it's only a negotiation process because at the end, recreational marijuana and medical marijuana, you can trade international markets with our fight against cocaine. You open our international markets for marijuana, and we continue our war on cocaine. So we will have this kind of negotiation in international drugs spaces. So it will be interesting too.
Yes, and just to clarify there, you mentioned Santos, and that is former President Juan Manuel Santos, and he was, I don't know if he was or still is part of this conservative party, but he was a very important leader of that right-wing coalition.
Yes, but he betrayed that coalition, and he made another coalition, more center-left coalition.
Right.
In this center-left coalition, more social democrat coalition, if you want to say. And if for that, in this year, he brings the sector, the marijuana sector, is near his people. He has contact with the government, the Santos government, and we are in his opposition side. So if we continue with that, we can make another actors bringing money, but in the medical. And after the consolidation of our center-right coalition in the next election, 2022, if this happens, I think recreational marijuana will be for the debate.
Right. So this is just to say there is an important political weight behind the drive to legalize recreational marijuana, and that it's not a fringe movement like it is still in many countries that you have minority parties and trying to drive the debate. So it's a very important topic that is happening across Latin America. Many countries are legalizing medical marijuana. Here in Paraguay too, it's been legalized. And recreational is still a long way to go, but there are many industries and many private businesses who are getting ready to enter this market. And as the world moves toward legalization, it's going to become a very important industry. And so, Jorge, thank you so much for your time today and for coming on the show to show us some of the opportunities that are available in Colombia. There are many more, but time is always tight, and we're going to put a lot of links in the show notes. So, folks, if you want to learn more about real estate, the cannabis industry, and the opportunities that are available in Colombia and Latin America in general, please check our website, ecanamericas.com. You can always follow us on all the major social media platforms. And please send us your comments, your suggestions. This is an ongoing process, and we're going to adapt this podcast so that you can gain the most from it. So thank you again, Jorge, and looking forward to the next time.
Thanks to you. Thanks to you, Economéricas, Daniel. A pleasure.